Hello there again. Recently, I have been testing Hadoop down into the layers of building a server using Hypervisor VMware virtual machines. First thing I want to do is I want to download Esxi, which is basically VMware. Simplest way is to pick one of these links, click it, goes into the link, and I should find a download page. So let's go back on that one and click the one above it. I want a free form of the vSphere hypervisor. And I'm already logged in, have a username. I've actually already done some downloads. And you get a whole lot of license stuff and lots of interesting goodies. There's an update, which I wouldn't touch right now. Basically, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a Hadoop cluster and download all the goodies that I need to begin with. I have a server. The downloads I've done before, I've done a few different things, but the basic thing you actually need is the VMware Sphere Hypervisor 6, Esxi6. Download it. Obviously, installing the hypervisor is quite difficult to demonstrate because obviously I can't duplicate the screen onto here because it's done directly on a server. So what I actually found was something a little better. Somebody did a very good blog entry, Experts Exchange. I'm referring to it, so you can go and look it up yourself. And if you go down the page, it'll basically show you how to download it, how to license it, how to set it up, and how to put it on. You basically burn it onto a DVD and you bounce the machine up on the DVD. You bounce the server up using the ISO on the DVD. And you basically get these pages full of the problems. It's not that complicated. Very simple. And don't know if there's really much use in scrolling through here. Eventually you get to a point where you have the hypervisor installed, which is basically the software that sits on top of the host that manages the virtual software, your virtual machines. Once you've done that, as it says here, it takes approximately 5 to 10 minutes. Very simple, very small footprint. The recommended amount of memory for each virtual server is actually 8 gig. So scrolling down, lots of comments. That's not really very interesting. So let's get off this page. The next step you do is to download the client software. Let's just type the name of this thing in here. Let's figure out where I got it from. All right, download VMware client, all 6. Download in vSphere client download. That looks interesting. Well, basically you have to fish around and find the file. And it's basic. It's just a very simple Windows installation. I run as administrator. It extracts it and installs it. It's that basic, but I'm not going to do that because that's really too stupid to worry about. Cancel. Yes, hit the yes button. So let's get all this off the screen now. So the next thing you do is you end up with a piece of software. It's called this VMware Sphere Client. So if I open this thing, I have to log into my server, and yes, it helps if I actually use the password as well. So let's see what happens. And boom, I need the password. Here's the password. Click login. Eventually it pops up this window, tells me my license is going to expire. And as you can see, I have a bunch of servers in here I've created. This is the IP address that I assigned to my server when I installed the hypervisor on the server. That's a subset of my DHCP generated addresses. It's no big deal. Now what I do here, if I want to create a new, well, obviously, first of all, it's in maintenance mode. When you shut down a machine, put it in maintenance mode. You can shut it down from here. Exit maintenance mode. So I created all these servers. I'm going to create a Hadoop cluster somehow just to test it. See how much fun it is. Probably not much, but we'll see. So typical, I never go typical. I'm just creating a server. It's a very simple server. Server 6, it's a virtual server. Now I have 5 servers on there with 20 gig of memory. And 128 times 5, so I've got I got enough space. I'm just calculating if I have enough space. I have a terabyte of disk space and 32 gigs of RAM. It appears that I've used up 20 gigs of memory and about 600 gigs of disk space. I'm just going to create a machine, and I like to use Oracle Linux because I am an Oracle DBA. Just simpler, doesn't give me problems. I know it well. Let's push that up to 2 to 4 gig. That's the memory. Next. I do not remember what I selected on this screen. There is a SCSI control on my server, but not in the VM. I don't care, just ignore that. Create a new virtual disk amongst, well, on the disk that I already have set up. The rest of it I'm just going to ignore. And I don't know what this is. I'm not sure what this is doing. Let's just finish this, see what it looks like. So I'm going to go to server 6. I'm going to edit the virtual machine settings. For some reason, I can't get the DVD drive to work, so I have to remove it. It does that, so I chuck it out again, go back in again, and it's disappeared. I'll just go and add a CD drive. Next, I'm going to use an ISO image, which I've already stored in the data store. I will show you how to do that in a minute. Click OK. Took me a while to figure it out. Connect at power on. In other words, when you start up the machine, it actually boots off the ISO image like it's booting off a CD drive. So let me go back a step. I said I was going to show you how to put something into the data store. It's basically the storage area you set up for the hypervisor when you store the hypervisor. And I'm trying to think it's here somewhere. Here, storage. So you can actually edit this. You can change the storage, browse the data store. You can actually upload files from your local machine, download file, upload. If you upload a file, it allows you to pick it. As you can see, I've actually uploaded this file here. I click open, it uploads it. It takes a little while. There it is. So now, when I go back to my new server that I just created, when I power on the virtual machine, it will actually restart the machine based on booting up from the CD image to install the operating system. So let's go and actually launch the virtual machine console. And there you go. Now this is funny because look at the message down the bottom, to release cursor. It took me a while to figure this out, as dumb as it may be. Control Alt, I actually can use my machine again, which is irritating. Go back to here, clicked in there, so now I can press return in that window. And it'll install Linux for me, go through the whole process. Go. So again, let's get out of that window, Control and Alt, back to here. So now let me go into one of my servers here. I can power on this server. And if I go back to the console, it will actually start the operating system up on this machine. So I've got 6 virtual servers installed on this machine. 2 of them are running at the moment. Let's see what it does. It's essentially just booting up Linux, that's all. So Linux is not really the purpose of this little movie. It will come up as a Linux operating system. The same would apply with this one. I can power this on, and I can launch the console, get that out of the way, and power this on. And I can launch the console, get it off the screen. So all these machines are coming up at the same time. Power this one on. Some of them are actually not installed yet. I haven't installed the operating system on them. Here is another machine. And what do we have here? The first machine I brought up was the new one I created, which I'm on my machine's desktop. So I can't hit return in there because somewhere else. I have to click on it, then hit, I don't want to do that. I don't want it. I could test the CD. It's just going to test the ISO image. It's going to sit there for about 100 years. Actually, no, it's not, because the ISO image is stored on a hard drive RAID array, and it's quite fast. Okay, that's good. So let's Control Alt to get out of this silly window. What have we got here? We've got and I think it's actually doing a default installation now, which I did not want. Here's a machine. Okay, I am going to shut this one down. Shut it down. And Control Alt to get out of the window. Let's minimize it. Click on this window, Tab, Skip, Control Alt again, and click on the window, Skip. Okay, so what have we got here? Oh, this has gone into the installation, Control Alt, and here we can click the window, click the next button to go through the process, next, next. Nothing really very interesting and fascinating. Okay, so let's go to this window again and review the layout. What I normally do with these machines is I set up a lot more swap space. Oracle likes swap space. I don't know why it just does. I would assume that Hadoop might not mind too much as well, so I just set this down to there. Smaller value. And find the swap space. What is it, 16384? That's a lot of swap space. Oracle databases do use a lot of swap space. The minimum swap space required for an Oracle environment in 11G was actually 8 gigs. It's quite a bit. So I'm just going to do 114560. Hit return. Right, so we're now getting a simple demo of installing Oracle Linux, which is really basic. It's just buttons. It's a graphical user interface. And I'm just going to create a password. Yeah, generally I just select all this and I don't really care. This is a test environment. It's on a home machine. It will probably get vaporized in about 2 or 3 hours, put something else on it. So I want to Control Alt. I want to get out of this one. I'm not going to do this now. So I'm just going to cancel this. And I'm going to shut this one down. And what else can I remove here? I need to Alt Control out of that one. And so this one's stopped. This one's stopping. It's a good idea to not actually put that in the middle of it. This is just an installation. Don't care about that. That's another installation. Don't care about that either. So the one I've actually got running is this one here. And I think I messed up the one I was installing. Doesn't matter. I can do it again. It's not a big deal. I've got a machine shutting down there, and that's just shutting down Linux. Okay, so drop this out. So now I want to shut the machine down, the whole thing. So I'm going to power this one off, and it says, "Sure that you have shut down your guest operating system." I'm pretty sure I haven't because there isn't one on there. Same applies to all these. Yeah, questions. Now, in order to shut down the hypervisor, I want to shut down the host. I don't know if I can actually just shut it down, but I know you can put it into maintenance mode, which stops you from actually bringing up these servers. Power on. Yeah, see, they're all grayed out. And now I'm actually going to go to here, and I'm going to shut down the server. And yes, it will ask me for a reason. And you may hear the noisy machine in the background suddenly go quiet. Has it shut it down? No, it has not yet. Here's all the log files, all sorts of goodies here. Auto power off, initiate host shutdown. So it's shutting down the host machine. It's shutting down the server itself. There we go. It says I'm attempting to reconnect from the client. And that's my machine just went off. Okay. So that was that. The VMware vSphere Hypervisor plus building virtual machines is very, very simple.